Italy is a country where some of the world's most iconic destinations lie just hours apart. From ancient streets walked for over 2,000 years to cliffside roads and islands once ruled by emperors, every place tells its own story. Cities like Rome and Florence grew layer by layer, hill towns were built for defense, and port villages thrived on trade. Even the quietest fishing towns reveal how people adapted to the land and sea. Together, these destinations offer a vivid glimpse into Italy's past and present, showing a country where history, culture, and landscape remain alive around every corner. Alberobello. In the hills of Puglia, Alberobello is instantly recognizable for its clusters of circular houses, known as trulli, built from local limestone without mortar. This building technique dates back to the 14th century and was a practical solution to both the region's geology and a tax system that favored easily dismantled structures. Each trullo features thick, whitewashed walls and a conical roof made of overlapping gray stone slabs. The design keeps interiors cool in summer and warm in winter. Some roofs are adorned with painted symbols of faith or family, adding a personal touch to the otherwise uniform forms. The town grew from small rural settlements, and many trulli are still in use today as homes, workshops, or small shops. The streets curve naturally with the contours of the landscape, giving Alberobello an organic, almost accidental layout. Inside, rooms are simple and quiet, often arranged around a central hearth. Together, these buildings create a remarkable landscape that reflects both necessity and skill, architecture shaped from available materials and perfected through centuries of repetition rather than formal design. Assisi. Set on the slopes of Mount Subasio in Umbria, Assisi grew around a Roman settlement, the remains of which are still visible beneath its medieval streets. The town later became closely associated with the life of Saint Francis, born here in the late 12th century. His legacy shaped Assisi's architecture, economy, and religious significance for centuries. At the heart of the town is the Basilica of San Francesco, built after his death. The basilica actually consists of two churches, an upper and a lower, constructed directly into the hillside. Inside, frescoes by Giotto, Cimabue, and other early Renaissance painters depict episodes from the life of Saint Francis and biblical scenes, forming one of the most important narrative cycles in Italian art. Beyond the basilica, Assisi retains a compact medieval center. Stone houses line narrow streets that lead to the main square, Piazza del Comune, where the facade of a Roman temple still stands beside the town hall. The Rocca Maggiore fortress crowns the ridge, offering sweeping views across the Umbrian Valley. Pilgrims, scholars, and travelers continue to visit Assisi not only for its religious heritage but also for its intact urban layout, where Roman foundations, medieval structures, and the quiet rhythm of daily life coexist within a small, well-preserved hillside town. Bologna. At the heart of Emilia-Romagna, Bologna is defined by its long arcades, or porticos, which stretch for nearly 40 kilometers. These covered walkways connect every part of the city, sheltering markets, cafes, and everyday life from both sun and rain. Walking beneath them is one of the most distinctive experiences Bologna has to offer. The city's roots run deep. It began as a major Roman settlement, grew into a powerful medieval commune, and later became an important center of learning. The University of Bologna, founded in 1088, is still active today and is widely considered the oldest university in the Western world. The steady presence of students gives the city a lively atmosphere, blending centuries of history with youthful energy. Bologna's medieval skyline was once crowded with towers built by rival families. Only a few remain, most notably the Asinelli and Garisenda towers, which still lean dramatically above Piazza di Porta Ravignana. The main square, Piazza Maggiore, is surrounded by historic civic buildings and dominated by the massive Basilica of San Petronio, unfinished, yet monumental in scale. Bologna is also celebrated as the culinary heart of Italy. Its food is honest and deeply rooted in tradition: fresh egg pasta, carefully cured meats, and rich, slow-cooked ragu. Markets such as the Quadrilatero continue to operate much as they have for centuries, filled with conversation, color, and the aromas of cooking that define the city's character. Capri. Rising from the Bay of Naples, the island of Capri is defined by dramatic cliffs, hidden caves, and naturally sheltered anchorages. Its appeal long predates modern tourism. In the 1st century CE, Emperor Tiberius chose Capri as his retreat, ruling the Roman Empire from a network of villas built high on the island's eastern cliffs. The remains of Villa Jovis, with its terraces and cisterns, still sit on a rocky promontory overlooking the sea. Capri's coastline is shaped by limestone formations carved over time by wind and waves. The most famous of these is the Blue Grotto, a sea cave where sunlight reflects through the water, creating an otherworldly blue glow. Boat routes circle the island, passing beneath natural arches, along narrow inlets, and by the Faraglioni Sea stacks rising dramatically from the water. Two main settlements share the island. Capri town lies near the central saddle with narrow lanes, small piazzas, and terrace gardens tucked between buildings. Anacapri sits higher on the western side, reached by a steep road or winding footpaths, and offers sweeping views over the Gulf of Naples from Monte Solaro. The island's landscape is softened by citrus groves, stone pines, and Mediterranean scrub, shaped by both climate and centuries of cultivation. Capri's distinctive character comes from this blend of rugged geology, Roman history, and compact settlements carefully adapted to the island's steep terrain. Genoa. Nestled between steep mountains and the Ligurian Sea, Genoa developed vertically. Its streets climb sharply from the harbor into a labyrinth of narrow alleys known as Corughi, where shops, workshops, and tiny piazzas layer upon one another like pages of history. For centuries, Genoa was a powerful maritime republic, one of the Mediterranean's great ports. Wealthy merchant families built grand palaces along the strata. Nuova, the Palazzi dei Ralli, with marble staircases, frescoed halls, and ornate facades that still speak to the city's former prosperity. The harbor has evolved over time but has never lost its purpose. Fishing boats and ferries operate alongside container terminals and shipyards. Modern redevelopment, led by architect Renzo Piano, has opened the waterfront to the public with promenades, a maritime museum, and the city's famous aquarium. Inland, the city takes on a different rhythm. Narrow alleys carry the scent of basil, garlic, and olive oil, a reminder that pesto was born here. Cafes and markets fill the medieval core, where the ringing of church bells competes with the hum of scooters echoing off stone walls. Genoa is dense, working, and complex, a city that still faces the sea as it always has. It was built for function before beauty, and its strength comes from it. Lake Garda. At the foothills of the Alps, Lake Garda stretches over 50 kilometers from north to south, making it Italy's largest freshwater lake. Its landscape changes dramatically along its length. The northern end is narrow, flanked by steep cliffs, while the southern end opens into a broad basin bordered by rolling hills. Towns along the shore reflect this diversity of terrain. Riva del Garda and Torboli in the north have an alpine character, with stone fortifications and mountain paths rising directly from the lake. Further south, towns like Sirmione sit on low peninsulas where Roman villas, medieval fortresses, and thermal springs exist side by side. The lake has long supported agriculture, especially olives, lemons, and vineyards that thrive in the mild climate. Ferries link the towns, making travel across the lake just as easy as traveling around it. Surrounding mountains offer hiking trails, panoramic roads, and remnants of World War I defenses, while the shoreline provides harbors, promenades, and small beaches. Lake Garda's charm lies in its scale and variety: alpine landscapes at one end, Mediterranean vegetation at the other, and a chain of towns that reflect centuries of commerce, defense, and seasonal life, all connected by the sparkling waters of the lake. Lecce. Located on the Salento Peninsula in southern Puglia, Lecce is celebrated for its distinctive Baroque architecture, carved from the region's pale local limestone. The stone's softness allowed craftsmen in the 17th and 18th centuries to create elaborate facades, balconies, and sculptures, giving the city a unique and instantly recognizable visual identity. Lecce's historic center reflects layers of history. Roman remains, including a partially excavated amphitheater in Piazza Sant'Oronzo, sit alongside medieval churches and palaces built during Spanish rule. The Basilica of Santa Croce stands out as the city's finest example of ornate Baroque design. With a facade brimming with columns, capitals, and symbolic reliefs, yet carefully composed with symmetrical structure. The city's narrow, often shaded streets open unexpectedly onto squares framed by civic buildings, markets, and cafes. Local workshops continue traditions in papier-mâché sculpture and stone carving, crafts that flourished when religious processions and monastery commissions shaped the city's economy. Beyond the city, the surrounding countryside produces olive oil, wine, and wheat, while the coastal towns of Salento remain within easy reach. Lecce serves as the cultural hub of the peninsula, balancing its historic core with universities, theaters, and festivals that keep the city lively throughout the year. Matera. Matera is home to some of the most famous cave dwellings in the world. Perched atop a rocky outcrop in southern Italy, this captivating city draws thousands of visitors each year, eager to explore the enchanting sassi carved directly into the mountainside. Believed to be among the earliest human settlements in Italy, Matera's caves have been in use since around 7000 BC. Remarkably well preserved, countless houses and churches are hewn from the large limestone cliffs that frame the old town. Steep staircases and narrow, winding streets connect them all, creating a unique labyrinth that feels frozen in time. Wandering through this extensive network of caves is an unforgettable experience, with stunning viewpoints and photo opportunities around almost every corner. While some dwellings have been adapted into cafes, shops, and even homes, most are now uninhabited, giving the city a quiet, timeless atmosphere. One of southern Italy's top tourist attractions, Matera and its many sassi offer a truly unique glimpse into human history and architectural ingenuity. Milan. In northern Italy's Lombardy region, Milan stands as a major hub of finance, design, and industry. The city is built on a Roman grid that still shapes much of its layout, reflecting a long and layered history. Over the centuries, Milan came under the influence of the Visconti and Sforza families, Spanish rule, and Napoleonic administration, each leaving its mark on the city's architecture and institutions. At the heart of Milan rises the Duomo, one of Europe's largest Gothic cathedrals. Its forest of spires and statues crowns a broad marble facade, dominating the central square. Nearby, the Galleria Vittorio Emanuele II links the piazza to the opera house La Scala through a 19th-century arcade of iron and glass, combining elegance with functionality. The Castello Sforzesco, once a fortress and ducal residence, now houses museums and opens onto Sempione Park, the city's main green space. Beyond the historic core, Milan expanded rapidly in the 20th century, creating districts marked by rationalist architecture, industrial sites, and modern redevelopment. The Porta Nuova area, with its contemporary towers and public squares, showcases the city's recent growth. Fashion, publishing, manufacturing, and design drive Milan's economy, while universities and cultural institutions attract students and researchers from around the world. Milan's identity comes from this unique blend of dense history and constant reinvention, all contained within a clearly structured urban framework. Orvieto. Built on a plateau of volcanic rock, Orvieto rises dramatically above the Umbrian countryside, standing nearly 300 meters above sea level. The Etruscans were the first to settle here, carving wells and tunnels deep into the soft tufa stone. These passages still exist beneath the town today, forming an intricate underground world of cisterns, quarries, and storage chambers. Above ground, Orvieto's medieval streets remain compact and easy to explore on foot. At the heart of the town stands the Duomo, a cathedral begun in 1290 and completed over the course of 3 centuries. Its striking black and white stone facade, richly decorated with mosaics and bas-reliefs, is considered one of the finest examples of Italian Gothic architecture. Inside, frescoes by Luca Signorelli depict the Last Judgment with powerful realism, work that later influenced Michelangelo. Along Orvieto's narrow lanes, small workshops continue to produce ceramics and local crafts, while restaurants serve traditional dishes such as umbricelli, pasta and pigeon cooked in red wine. The town's white wine, Orvieto Classico, has been produced here since the Middle Ages, its crisp character shaped by the surrounding volcanic soil. From the town walls, sweeping views stretch across the Paglia River Valley, framed by vineyards and olive groves. Orvieto feels entirely self-contained, a city shaped by defense, faith, and community, balanced perfectly between sky and stone. Portofino. Along the Ligurian coast, Portofino occupies a narrow crescent of land set between steep green hills and a calm, sheltered bay. Its story began as a small harbor, used by fishermen and traders navigating the Gulf of Tigulio. Over time, the same natural protection that once sheltered their boats turned Portofino into a refuge for travelers and artists, drawn by its intimate scale and peaceful atmosphere. The waterfront is lined with houses painted in soft shades of ochre and red, forming a semicircular piazza where daily life unfolds around the sea. Above the village, the path to Castello Brown winds upward through terraced gardens to a former fortress built to guard the coastline. From this vantage point, the entire curve of the Ligurian shore comes into view, with the Alps faintly visible on the horizon. A network of walking trails extends into the Portofino Regional Park, passing through pine forests, olive groves, and dramatic cliffs that plunge down to coves, such as San Frutuoso, where a Benedictine abbey faces the water. Though the village itself is made up of just a few streets, Portofino still feels like a working harbor. Fishing boats continue to unload their catch in the early morning, and evenings remain quiet, with the sea reflecting the same soft light that has drawn visitors here for generations. San Gimignano. Perched on a ridge overlooking the rolling Tuscan countryside is San Gimignano, a town instantly recognized by its striking medieval stone towers. In the Middle Ages, this settlement sat along the Via Francigena, the main route connecting northern Europe to Rome. Trade and pilgrimage brought prosperity, and powerful families expressed their wealth and influence by building tall tower houses that served both as homes and as symbols of status. At one time, more than 70 towers rose above the town. Today, 14 still stand. The historic center has largely preserved its original street layout. Piazza della Cisterna, once the town's commercial heart, still links narrow lanes, lined with brick and stone facades. Nearby, the Collegiata Church holds impressive fresco cycles created between the 14th and 15th centuries, vividly illustrating scenes from the Old and New Testaments in rich narrative detail. San Gimignano's surroundings are just as important to its identity. The vineyards covering the nearby hills have produced Vernaccia, a dry white wine, since the Middle Ages. Visitors can explore this agricultural heritage through small producers and cooperatives scattered around the outskirts of town. Despite its modest size, San Gimignano offers a clear picture of how a medieval community functioned in everyday life. Fortified walls, communal wells, market squares, and homes adapted to the steep terrain all remain in place. Very little has changed in scale, allowing the structure of the town to be understood almost exactly as it was centuries ago. Sardinia. Across the Tyrrhenian Sea from the Italian mainland, Sardinia stretches over more than 24,000 square kilometers of mountains, plains, and coastline. Its interior remains sparsely populated, offering a sense of wide open space and timeless landscapes. Along the coast, long sandy beaches give way to hidden coves and rugged granite cliffs, creating a dramatic contrast with the island's serene interior. Sardinia's earliest known culture left behind thousands of stone towers called nuraghi, built during the Bronze Age. These ancient structures still lit the landscape, silent reminders of a society that existed long before written history. Over the centuries, Sardinia absorbed influences from Phoenician traders, Carthaginians, Romans, and later Spanish rulers. Each left a mark on the island's language, architecture, and cuisine. Cagliari, the capital, overlooks the southern harbor, its old town characterized by ramparts and narrow winding streets. In the north, the Costa Smeralda is famous for its crystal-clear waters and rugged coves. But beyond the popular resorts, life on the island moves at a slower pace. Inland villages preserve pastoral traditions, producing pecorino cheese, weaving textiles, and celebrating seasonal festivals with music and masks. The Sardinian language is still widely spoken, reflecting the island's strong sense of independence and cultural identity within Italy. The Dolomites. Stretching across northern Italy, the Dolomites form a mountain range unlike any other in Europe. Pale limestone cliffs rise abruptly from forested valleys. Their dramatic shapes, jagged spires, broad plateaus, and towering peaks, created from ancient coral reefs that were lifted and transformed by powerful geological forces over millions of years. Light plays a defining role in the identity of the region. At sunrise and sunset, the mountains glow in shades of pink and orange in a phenomenon known as enrosadira, caused by the unique mineral composition of the rock. This shifting color gives the landscape an almost unreal quality, changing moment by moment with the sky. The Dolomites are not only a geological landmark but also a cultural crossroads. Italian, German, and Ladine are all spoken here, and the architecture reflects this blend: wooden chalets, onion-dome churches, and mountain lodges where pasta and strudel appear side by side on menus. These mountains also carry the scars of history. During World War I, they formed a front line, and remnants of trenches, tunnels, and fortifications still trace the high ridges, now preserved as hiking paths and open-air museums. Today, small communities continue to thrive through tourism, farming, and traditional crafts. In summer, hikers cross alpine meadows filled with wildflowers, while in winter those same slopes transform into world-class ski runs. The Dolomites bring together natural spectacle and human resilience, a place where people and landscape have adapted to one another for centuries. Turin. At the foot of the Alps in northwest Italy lies Turin, a city known for its clear planning and architecture shaped over centuries of political change. It served first as the capital of the Duchy of Savoy, later the Kingdom of Sardinia, and briefly became the first capital of a unified Italy. This layered history is still visible today in Turin's broad avenues, geometric street grid, and long colonnades, all designed to allow for orderly movement across the city. The historic center is anchored by Piazza Castello, surrounded by palaces and administrative buildings once used by the Savoy dynasty. The Royal Palace, Palazzo Madama, and the arcaded Via perform a connected sequence of civic spaces that lead toward the Po River, giving the city a sense of continuity and balance. Turin is also widely recognized for its museums. The Mole Antonelliana, originally intended to be a synagogue, now houses the National Museum of Cinema and dominates the skyline. The Egyptian Museum holds one of the largest collections of Egyptian artifacts outside of Egypt, assembled through 19th century archaeological expeditions supported by the Savoy court. During the 19th and 20th centuries, Turin developed into a major industrial hub, particularly in automotive manufacturing. The Lingotto complex, once Fiat's main factory, has since been transformed for cultural and commercial use. Today, Turin blends royal architecture, industrial heritage, and a strong academic presence, all within a consistently structured urban framework. Verona. Verona is best known as the setting for Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, but the city itself is a picturesque blend of Roman ruins, Renaissance palaces, and medieval buildings. Nestled between Milan and Venice in northern Italy, Verona often receives fewer visitors than its more famous neighbors, but its charm is no less captivating. Here, travelers can enjoy the delights of an ancient Italian city without constantly navigating crowds. For many, the first stop is Juliet's house, now featuring a balcony added in more recent times. While Romeo and Juliet were fictional characters, the house and its courtyard draw lovers from around the world, eager to reenact the famous balcony scene in person. Among Verona's historical treasures, the Grand Roman Amphitheater stands out. This third-largest Roman arena in the world, dating back to the 1st century, is remarkably well preserved. Even today, performances are held in the 25,000-seat arena, connecting visitors to centuries of cultural history. The Renaissance period is beautifully represented in the Duomo, where recently restored frescoes and elegant marble interiors highlight the city's artistic heritage. As dusk falls, locals and visitors alike gather along Via Mazzini, a broad thoroughfare perfect for an evening stroll, or La Passeggiata. The walk often ends in Piazza del Erbe, where one can relax at a sidewalk cafe with an aperitivo or browse for souvenirs, soaking in the timeless atmosphere of this city of star-crossed lovers.